Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to cover all of the mounts that you can get in Battle for Azeroth, and we're going to be focusing on the stuff that's definitely in-game and collectible, though I will flag up some things which are in the game files but currently are not assigned as an award or reward later on. Now there'll be a full guide on all of the mounts, getting them once all the farming strats are known. But for now, let's take a look at the new mounts of BFA. Okay, I know you all love dinosaurs, so let's kick it off with them. And first up, raptors. We've got three new ones. So first, we've got Skull Ripper. This is an unarmored raptor that has been added and will be available from a rare in Goshek Farm in the Arathi Highlands. Always nice to have an unarmored option, which is pretty good. However, next we do have the Swift Albino Raptor. Drops from another rare in Arathi Highlands, this time Beastmaster or Beast Rider Kama, and it can be found around Witherbark Village. It's about damn time we got this model in the game because, this is not the most high-res thing ever because it technically was created ages ago, but I do like the red and white color scheme. Finally then, we've got the pretty damn epic-looking Tombstalker. This guy drops from the King's Rest dungeon on Mythic and Mythic Plus. Yep, Mythic Plus chests in BFA do actually have mounts on their loot table, which is a pretty damn lovely change. Next, Pterodaxes. So, Horde players can get the Cobalt Pterodax for a measly 10,000 gold once they're exalted with the Zanzalari Empire. It's, it's a pretty epic mount. It looks nice, and you can get your hands on it pretty damn quickly because I think this will be one of the faster reps. We then have GRYPHON. This is a mount from the How to Train Your Pterodax questline, which is currently Horde only, and you know what's pretty nice, and it's part of, it's very much in the vein of those hatchling to mount questlines, like with the Winterspring Cub and the Ravasaur, and it will take about 29 days to unlock this guy. Then, Brontosauruses. You all know this was coming, so the Mighty Caravan Brontosaurus is the ultimate financial flex, costing a tidy 5 million gold, which actually is not as much as you may think when we compare it to historical benchmarks and take inflation into account. I kind of did this a while back, and I found that it was not out of line with gold sinks like the Legion Spider, Wrath Traveler's Tundra Mammoth, and the Epic Flying itself back in TBC. Anyway, finally for the dinos, we've got the Pale Direhorn. It's a recolor of the Direhorn that you could already get from the patch 5.2 reputation, and it costs 500,000 gold, which is maybe a bit much for what it is. Next up, parrots. So let's keep it exotic with Sharkbait. It's our first parrot mount, and I don't know what they fed this guy to make it so big, but the model certainly does make for a fantastic mount. Sharkbait drops from the final boss of Freehold on Mythic and Mythic Plus. Then we've got Squawks, who, like many of the other Island Expedition mounts, has a drop that we really don't know anything about, bar the fact that it's going to be in Island Expeditions. Alright, let's talk about Bloodswarmers. So, the Expedition Bloodswarmer is a thoroughly creepy looking fellow, and he can be picked up for the low price of 10,000 gold, minus faction discount, of course, once you're exalted with Talanji's Expedition, which is the Horde Nazmir faction. Now, don't despair if you're not a Horde member, because players of both factions can pick up the Leaping Vein Seeker, which right now seems to be a random drop from Nazmir. Next up, we've got Hyenas. So our first one is Horde only, and the Alabaster Hyena is exalted reputation from the Voldunai, who are the Volpera faction in Vol'dun. It's quite a nice looking mount. I think, as always, Blizzard are able to create really lovely looking beast models, and once again, players of both factions still will be able to get a Hyena because the Dune Scavenger is a random drop from mobs in Vol'dun. Next up, we've got Crowlusks. This is staying within the Vol'dun theme, and we've got the Obsidian Crowlusk. This is our Battle for Azeroth Mythic Dungeon meta achievement mount, requiring us to complete a variety of challenges across all of the BFA dungeons, and it's a pretty cool looking mount. It's essentially a walking trilobite kind of dude. Now, we also have the Conqueror's Scythemaw. This is from the World PvP meta quest, which is something that's new. It's going to require you to earn 1,000 honor in every single Battle for Azeroth zone in War Mode. Then it requires you to complete War Mode content with a party of between 2 and 5, which, just as an aside, it seems like a really fun way to play World of Warcraft. And then finally, you will have to open an airdrop, so that's how you get that. Next, let's hop back to the deliciously horrible Nazmir theme with the Blood-Gorged Krog. This is actually the glory of the Uldir Raider mount. And, Blizzard definitely are, they've got a theme of doing pretty grotesque raid mounts, it seems, so I'll be interested to see what a shower brings. Then, for the non-raiders who still do dungeons, you can get pretty much a recolor, the Underroot Krog. It drops, rather surprisingly, in the Underroot dungeon, on either Mythic or Mythic Plus difficulty. Then, still keeping it a little bit creepy, we have the Witherbark Bat. This, simply enough, is a bat that drops from one of the rare NPCs in Witherbark Village in the Arathi Highlands. This makes Witherbark actually quite a good place for farming because the Swift Albino Raptor also seems to be from a rare around that area. Next up, allied race mounts. We've got 4 of them. The Dark Iron Dwarves get the Dark Iron Corehound, which is basically a slimmed up Corehound. It's a lot more practical looking. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I just love the look of it. Then the Maghard get their own Wolf mount, which, you know, as always, it's a Warcraft Wolf mount. It looks pretty fantastic. We then have the Xandalari and Kultirans, though, and their mounts will be releasing later on in the expansion. The Kultiran mount has not been revealed, but we do know that the Xandalari have the Xandalari Direhorn, which is, well, it's just another Direhorn mount, really. And then next, let's talk about the Dwarves. So we actually have something special for Dwarf Paladins. They get access to the Dawnforge Charger. It's a new Paladin Ram, really fantastic looking, and, you know, it's probably one of my favorite default mounts. And then Dark Iron Paladins get access to a darker version, because they're really edgy, and that's how they work. Next, horses. Enough of this madness. Horses, let's get it simple again. So, Alliance players will have the Admiralty Stallion from Exalted with the Proudmoore Admiralty. Pretty nice as far as horses go, I suppose. Then we've got the Smoky Charger. This comes from Exalted with the Order of Embers, who are the Alliance Drustvar faction. Then, in a similar fashion, the Dapple Grey comes from the Storm's Wake faction, who are the Alliance Stormsong Valley faction, and that Exalted. Then Horde players will actually be able to earn a Broken Highland Mustang by killing an Alliance rare in the Arathi Highlands, making it one of the few horse mounts that are available to Horde players. Then the regular Highland Mustang is an Alliance exclusive one, again from Arathi, where you need to kill a Horde rare. Now, both of these are examples of a reward that you will only be able to start farming once your faction has control of the warfront. Then both factions can get the little donkey from Arathi Highlands from killing another rare, and you can actually also get a pack mule, which is a rare drop in Drustvar that we don't know that much past its in-game tooltip. Then Golden Mane is another zone-wide drop, this time from Stormsong Valley. Once again, though, we don't know much about it past the tooltip. And then we have 2 more horses. Okay, they're unicorns, but the game files calls them Horse 3. So there's the Cursor, which is from getting a massive 100 factions to Exalted Reputation, which is a titanic effort, but it's a really cool one. And then there's the Bloodforged Courser, which is from getting Honor level 500 in PvP. And that's actually something you can start farming up right now in pre-patch. Also, on the topic of achievement mounts, you can earn the Frost Shard Infernal for completing 350 mounts. It's a recolor of the Infernals that were available from the initial Legion raid content. And then if you make it to 400 mounts, you will get the Frenzied Feltalon. Yep, you can finally get the Green Firehawk, although 400 mounts is quite the challenge, so that's going to take a lot of work. We then have a bunch of one-off mounts that come from Island Expeditions, along with Squawks, who of course I mentioned earlier in the Parrot section. So Quincho's Eternal Hound is a Quillen mount. Makes sense given the Mogu presence, and I think this might be the first Quillen mount that can be obtained outside of the Mists of Pandaria Collector's Edition, so I imagine that will be pretty desired. We then have the Surf Jelly. This also comes from Island Expeditions, along with the Twilight Avenger. Yep, Twilight. So we know the Black Dragons are going to be involved in the Island Expeditions, but seeing a Twilight Dragon mount reward, that's kind of interesting from a lore perspective. I've got to wonder if that has just any bearing and things. And then finally, for Island Expeditions, we have the Craghorn Chasm Leaper, which is another big chunky Yeti mount. And then of course we also have the Great Sea Ray, which is a wonderful looking mount with a source that so far is unknown, past being a part of the fishing profession. And then finally, for the confirmed launch mounts, we have the NAZJATAR Blood Serpent. It's, in my view, the best recolor of the Mind Riddler from Legion, and it can be obtained by killing a rare mob in Stormsong Valley, this time the Adherent of the Abyss. There is a bunch more to cover here, but let's just take a pause. So that's the mounts that are confirmed in the BFA launch, as in, like, most of them are in the mount journal right now. I think a few of them are secrets. So yeah, that's a total of 42 new mounts for Battle for Azeroth launch, which is quite a lot on paper, but admittedly, there's a lot of horses in there, and there are actually plenty of existing but unimplemented mounts, so I do want to cover those because we're probably going to see a lot of them at some point. So there are many mount models that exist for Battle for Azeroth. They're in the game files, but we just don't know where they come from. They're not actually assigned as a reward. And to start off with, a few of these are PvP mounts. So we've got the War River Beasts, the War Basilisks, and the War Clefthoofs. Then for the arena people, we've got an array of arena proto-drakes. Now, one thing that was interesting to me is that some of the more interesting mounts actually are not in. So a bunch of bees were data mined, but so far, you can't get these bees as a mount reward. I'd be extremely surprised if we made it through this expansion without getting to ride a bee though, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. We then have toad mounts. These are really cool looking. They of course resemble the toad Loa, who we help out during the Horde quest line. Once again, no idea how we get it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it at some stage. Then we have the GALLYWIX ATV. Now many suspect this will be an engineering mount, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if GALLYWIX was to weave his way into the storyline somehow, perhaps in a side plot. If so, then I think that would relate to, that would be the content that would probably get you this mount. Then finally, we have an even more sleek core hound, the Dark Hound. It looks fantastic, but once again, no idea if or when we will see it. Then finally, actually, we do have a stack of Grand Griffins with updated textures. So there you go. That is the new mounts of Battle for Azeroth so far. Of course, a fair few models do exist that are just recolors of these and are variants that are used by NPCs. Overall, I'd say, yeah, I'm pretty happy. Maybe a slight downside that because the Horde zones are maybe a bit more diverse and wacky, they have some more out there mounts, whereas the Alliance just have like 3 horses. So that's maybe a bit of a downside, but like actually if you like horses, then I suppose it's pretty good. They're actually quite great looking. But maybe none of them come up against the Seabraid Stallion, which is a very, very cool mount. Anyway, there you go. That is a quick preview of the mounts that you can expect in Battle for Azeroth. Let me know what you think about them down below. And yeah, with all that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you.